Can't. So today we'll be talking about hypolipidemic drugs. They are also called anti-hyperlipidemic drugs. See, these drugs are obviously, as the name suggests, these will lower the lipid levels in your body. These are used as a auxiliary, or they are used in addition to other drugs that are given in cardiovascular problems. So, well, let's suppose someone has atherosclerosis along with coronary artery disease, wherein their coronaries are getting blocked by plaques and all of that, and they have hypertension. So, along with giving drugs that are specific for your cardiovascular system, like thrombolytics, and giving antihypertensive drugs, you will also give anti-hyperlipidemic drugs so that the amount of cholesterol present in their body is stable. It does not increase more than normal levels, and obviously in such patients, LDL, HDL, and all lipoprotein levels except HDL will be quite high. So you would want to decrease that level. As such, just to jog your memory, uh, one second. This is the normal lipid profile. So these are the normal levels or desirable levels. Cholesterol level should be less than 200 mg per dl in blood. Triglyceride should be less than 150. HDL 60 or more than 60. LDL should be less than 130. 60 to 130 is the general range. Okay. As you go higher and higher, the risk of developing cardiovascular diseases will increase, especially when cholesterol, triglycerides, and LDL increases. Whereas subsequently, what will happen is HDL levels will decrease. If you remember, HDL cholesterol or high density lipoprotein is responsible for transporting cholesterol from body or tissue spaces into liver so that it can be processed and it can be broken down. Whereas LDL will do the opposite. LDL will take fat from your liver and it will transport all over your body. Okay, so ideally you would want lower levels of LDL and higher levels of HDL, also lower levels of cholesterol and triglycerides for general cardiovascular health. Okay, decent cardiovascular health. Now these drugs will particularly do the same. They will act directly on lipoproteins and they will act by decreasing cholesterol levels. So for you in your portion, you have two classes in antihyperlipidemic drugs. The first class is called HMG CoA reductase inhibitors. Okay. I'm sure you must have recognized this from cholesterol biosynthesis. Last year, when we discussed about cholesterol synthesis in fat metabolism, if you remember, show you one second. This is metabolism. This is the what do you call formation or synthesis of cholesterol from acetyl coenzyme A. It will undergo several reactions wherein you will ultimately form. See, acetyl coenzyme A will be the main product from which you make acetoacetyl coenzyme A and ultimately end up forming cholesterol with a bunch of reactions. Okay, there will be several reactions through which you finally end up forming cholesterol. यहाँ पर in one of the first stages, if you see the third reaction, यहाँ पर क्या होता? If you see on the left, top left, acetyl coenzyme A will combine with another molecule of acetyl coenzyme A to make a acetoacetyl coenzyme A molecule. This in the presence of HMG CoA synthase. HMG का full form है hydroxy 3-methyl glutaryl coenzyme A. Okay, whenever acetoacetyl CoA is subjected to HMG CoA synthase, it will form HMG coenzyme A. Now, यहाँ पर HMG CoA reductase is a very important enzyme. HMG CoA reductase will convert HMG coenzyme A into mevalonic acid. Okay, why is this important? This enzyme is the rate limiting enzyme for the whole reaction of cholesterol formation. Meaning, if there is little or lesser amount of this enzyme, the total amount of cholesterol being formed will decrease. Okay, let's suppose a person's body is making cholesterol and at one point of time the total amount of cholesterol in their body is more than required. Okay, I'm talking in a normal healthy individual. Okay, In them what will happen is, if your body is sensing that there is increased amount of cholesterol in blood more than what is required, you obviously need cholesterol for several functions. It is a precursor for several molecules like vitamin D, several hormones, corticosteroids, all of them will require cholesterol as their precursor. From cholesterol you'll make all of them, so it does have a role, very important role. But the thing is, if you have way more amount of cholesterol than there is required in your blood, what your body will do is it will stop the production of HMG-CoA reductase, or it will inhibit HMG-CoA reductase synthesis. Okay, this enzyme will act as a rate limiting step. Whenever your body is sensing that increased amount of cholesterol is present, that enzyme is what you call, the production of that enzyme will stop. What you can do externally is, let's suppose the patient is having atherosclerosis, or they have increased amount of cholesterol way more than normal. They have a diseased condition where they are having more amount of cholesterol. In that, you can give a external help. That external help will be by giving drugs that can inhibit that enzyme. So rather than your body inhibiting that enzyme, from outside you are giving other sources, other drugs that can inhibit the enzyme, because of which cholesterol formation will not occur. If you are able to inhibit the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase, this HMG coenzyme will not convert into mevalonic acid. Ultimately, there will be no formation of cholesterol. Okay, that is why this is called a rate limiting step. It is normally done by your body, but if, let's suppose someone has a diseased condition where there is way more than normal amount of cholesterol present in their body, at that point of time you will have to give drugs. Okay, so I hope you understood the mechanism of action. HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitors, mechanism of action is uh, these drugs competitively okay, they will competitively inhibit HMG CoA reductase. Because of this, what will happen is your total cholesterol will drop. So if you are blocking HMG CoA reductase, the enzyme, total amount of cholesterol will go down because production of cholesterol is not happening. Along with that, LDL levels go down. So in both of these conditions, it is very, very helpful. Okay, giving HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitors. The drugs that come into that are called statins. Okay, you will understand why. So we have lovastatin, atorvastatin. I'm sure you must have come across atorvastatin sometime or the other till now. Very common in hospitals. Simvastatin, fluvastatin, and rosuvastatin. There are more examples as well, but itne bas hai abhi ke liye. So all of them end with statins. Okay, so that is why this class of drug is also called statins. Okay, one of the mainstay in people who have cardiovascular diseases and coronary artery disease and atherosclerosis. This drug you will definitely see in such patients. Now, generally food enhances the absorption of this drug. The absorption of G CoA reductase inhibitors. Okay, as such, this drug, see, in your body, most of the cholesterol, okay, major amount of cholesterol will be formed late in the night, around 12 to 1 12 a.m. to 1 a.m., somewhere around midnight in a normal person's body. What will happen is whatever food they have eaten, that is being processed, and when they are sleeping, at that point of time, cholesterol synthesis will be at its peak. So generally what you do is you tell the patient to consume this drug before they sleep. Okay, this is one of those drugs that is given just before they sleep, and it is ideal to give this drug along with food, with something that they can eat, because if they have something in their belly at that same while taking these inhibitors, let's suppose they are taking atorvastatin with it, the absorption of the drug will increase, meaning the complete efficacy of the drug will significantly increase, letting you decrease the dose of atorvastatin and other drugs. Okay, if you are simply able to enhance the absorption by giving it with food. Now there are some very specific adverse effects related to this as well. Adverse effects will be muscle tenderness, The patient will have myopathy, especially inside the along with skeletal muscle inflammation. Tendon pain is also pretty common. Okay? Along with this, along with muscle pain and all, tendon pain occurs in such patients who are on atorvastatin and these HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors. Okay? Another thing it is contraindicated in pregnancy. Indicated in pregnancy and lactation. Do not give it in pregnant women and lactating women. You can give other drugs. So this is one class that comes under hypolipidemic drugs. I hope you understood. The main effect is that it will stop the enzyme, which is the rate limiting step in cholesterol formation, because of which cholesterol will not be formed. Okay, simple mechanism of action. The specific adverse effect that you need to remember is it will cause muscle tenderness, myopathy. So one second, this is O. It will cause myopathy. It will cause skeletal muscle inflammation, which it will sometimes even tendon pain. Okay, and specifically contraindicated in case of pregnancy and lactation. Do not give it to pregnant and lactating women. Now, the second class of drugs will be called fibric acids. Fibric acids, or they are also called fibrates. Okay. The examples in this will be gemfibrozil, clofibrate, fenofibrate, and ciprofibrate. Okay, that is why it is called fibrates. The mechanism of action for this is it will enhance the enzyme called lipoprotein lipase. So it is mechanism of action is it will enhance the activity of lipoprotein lipase. Now lipase enzymes, specifically lipoprotein lipase enzymes, are helpful in breaking down VLDL. Okay, it will also help in decreasing triglycerides levels, at the same time increase HDL levels. So this will translate whenever this enzyme is activated. As such, whenever you have lipoprotein lipase activity, it will decrease low density lipoprotein, very low density lipoprotein, and it will decrease TG levels. But if you are giving an external drug like clofibrate or gemfibrozil, they will enhance the activity of these lipoprotein lipase. See, we already have a patient who has increased amount of cholesterol, so you have to give them some extra help and some external help from outside so that they can deal with this extra amount of cholesterol. One way through which you can deal is by enhancing lipase activity, lipoprotein lipase activity, because of which what will happen is VLDL and TG, triglycerides, uh, will decrease, their levels will decrease, and HDL levels increase. Okay, so it is beneficial in both these ways. Now, they also inhibit coagulation and they promote thrombolysis. They inhibit coagulation and promote thrombolysis. Why is this important? Now, if you remember in atherosclerosis, I told you whenever plaque formation occurs, at one point or the other, that plaque might burst. And if you remember correctly, I told you that the material that is present inside the plaque, that is very, very thrombogenic. It is very, very susceptible to clot formation. Okay, whatever the contents of the plaque, that is your fat foam cells and fibrin that is coming in that area, all of that is very, very susceptible to thrombosis. Whenever there is blood vessel injury in the endothelium, that breakage will cause coagulation and thrombosis. In such a condition, uh, who did that? Please stop doing that. Hit Control Z. Be careful of the curses. Right. As I was telling you, these drugs, in case of, let's suppose a patient has atherosclerosis and they have advanced degree of atherosclerosis. In such patients, what will happen is they will have let's suppose I draw a blood vessel like this. Okay, and this is the endothelium of the blood vessel. Let's suppose endothelium, these are the three layers. Okay, tunica intima, media and externa. यहाँ पर plaque formation हो रहा. ठीक है, if you remember atherosclerosis is something like this where you will have plaque being formed here and it will extend into the lumen of your blood vessel. ठीक है, and we have, let's suppose this fellow is going like this. Now at one point of time, let's suppose this fellow will burst open because of excessive amount of pressure. This fellow will burst open. So this tunica intima is open and hemorrhage can occur here. This spot is very thrombogenic. It can easily form clots. In a patient where there is already atherosclerosis and there is clot formation, what do you think will happen? This blood vessel will completely get clogged. You do not want that happening. That is why fibric acids and fibrates are helpful in that sense as well. It will help in breaking down such clots. That is why it is thrombolytic in a sense. Okay, it will inhibit coagulation and it is thrombolytic. Okay, that is why it is helpful in both the ways. It will inhibit or it will decrease VLDL and triglycerides levels. At the same time, it will break down such clots. Now, specific adverse effects related to this are, it can cause muscle cramps, it can cause rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdomyolysis. ठीक है? Rhabdomyolysis is basically breakdown of muscle tissue. And in some patients, especially in patients with rhabdomyolysis, in patients with renal failure. ठीक है? It might also cause blurred vision and myositis. Okay, inflammation of your muscles, that is myositis. So both of these have muscle adverse effects. Okay, your HMG coenzyme A reductase inhibitors as well as fibrates, both of them have muscle related adverse effects. That will also cause skeletal muscle inflammation and myopathy along with tenderness. This will cause muscle cramps and rhabdo in renal failure patients along with blurred vision and myositis. So that is about hypolipidemic drugs. And with that, we have completed the cardiology section of pharmacology that you have. Now we'll get into antibiotics. Okay. So the first antibiotic class that you have will be called beta-lactam antibiotics. बीटा लैक्टम एंटीबायोटिक्स हम लोग को इसलिए बोलते हैं बिकॉज द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ दैट एंटीबायोटिक हैज अ बीटा लैक्टम रिंग इनसाइड इट. ठीक है, एवरी एंटीबायोटिक इन दिस क्लास will have a ring. That ring is called a beta lactam ring. That is why these antibiotics are called beta lactam antibiotics. Now all of these antibiotics will have the same mechanism of action. Okay, there are four main classes that come under beta lactam antibiotics. That will be penicillins, cephalosporins, monobactams, and carbapenems. Okay, all of them having the same mechanism of action. Their mechanism of action is that they will bind to specific receptors or specific proteins called penicillin binding proteins, and they will inhibit synthesis of proteoglycans. In the bacteria, in its cell wall structure, there is one very important protein called proteoglycans. Okay, that is an important component of bacterial cell wall. Without proteoglycan or without adequate amount of proteoglycan, the bacterial cell wall will get damaged. Okay, if I draw a flow chart of its mechanism of action, all beta lactams will have the same mechanism of action. Okay, so you don't have to worry about studying different mechanisms of actions. So these beta lactam antibiotics, they Mamta, what are you doing? And Mamta, please stop that or I'll kick you out. Right. So beta lactam anti Right. I don't need kachara in my class. All right. Now, beta lactam antibiotics, these will bind with penicillin binding proteins. Okay. As they bind with penicillin binding proteins, as I told you, there are special proteins that are present inside the bacteria itself. Whenever you make a drug, which are beta lactams, you will make sure that the bacteria itself has a susceptible protein or a susceptible receptor where this fellow can go and act. Those particular proteins will be called PBPs. Okay, so these are called PBP, penicillin binding protein. Okay, your penicillin will go and bind to this protein in the bacteria, and the effect will be that it will inhibit synthesis of proteoglycans. Okay, whenever proteoglycans are inhibited, the synthesis of proteoglycans is inhibited. Think of it this way: whenever a bacteria is trying to divide, okay, let's suppose there is one bacteria like this fellow will divide, and ultimately this fellow will again divide, and the division keeps on happening. Yahan par every time it is making a new daughter bacteria, it will need to make a new cell wall. Or in any case, if there is, let's suppose, some kind of damage to the bacterial cell wall, it will need to repair that. Okay, for which it needs proteoglycans to maintain integrity of that cell. Okay, to maintain normal cell structure, you need proteoglycans. The bacteria needs proteoglycans. Whenever you give beta lactam antibiotics, they will inhibit the synthesis of this proteoglycans. So imagine in a wall you are removing the bricks. Okay, there is some damage to the wall, and you are what you call, normally what you do is you will replace them with concrete or you replace them with bricks. Penicillin in this case is stopping that, or it is breaking down those what do you call, those bricks or that cement, and it is not allowing strengthening of that wall, because of which what will happen is they will undergo, so cell wall becomes weak. Okay, because the integrity of the cell wall is gone, it will obviously become weak and it will undergo lysis. Bacteria undergoes lysis. Okay, this is a bactericidal type of antibiotic. See, there are two types of antibiotics. In all of the antibiotics that you'll come across, there'll be two main types of antibiotics. You will have bactericidal or bacteriostatic. Cidal, and you have बैक्टीरियोस्टैटिक. ठीक है, दो टाइप के रहते हैं. इसमें डिफरेंस क्या है? बैक्टीरियासाइडल antibiotics are those antibiotics that will kill the bacteria. Bacteriostatic antibiotics will not kill the bacteria, but they will stop the growth of the bacteria. Now always remember that one single bacteria cannot cause any problem. ठीक है, generally speaking, one single bacteria we cannot do anything. That fellow has to divide a lot and make millions of bacteria, make a proper colony before you can see any diseased effects, before you can see any clinical features. Okay, any disease you take, bacterial disease, that fellow will divide a lot before you can see any symptoms. As such, bactericidal drugs will simply kill that particular bacteria, whereas bacteriostatic drugs will stop the growth of that bacteria. Okay, if there is not enough amount of growth, see, obviously your own immunity will also play a role in killing these bacteria. But whenever the number of bacteria are overwhelming the immunity of that person, wherein the immunity is not able to cope up with the load of bacteria, that is when disease occurs, and that is when clinical features are seen and all of that occurs. If you're able to stop the growth of that bacteria, eventually your immune system will kill the what you call bacteria. Okay, until and unless it's a very potent bacteria wherein you have to give a bactericidal drug. Just giving a bacteriostatic drugs is also fine sometimes. Even if you are able to stop the growth of that bacteria, ultimately your immunity itself will kill the bacteria. Okay, bactericidal are these drugs. Beta lactam drugs are bactericidal because they are resulting in the lysis of that particular bacteria. ठीक है, all penicillin, cephalosporins, यहाँ पर penicillin binding proteins बोल के लिखे हैं, but cephalosporins, monobactams, carbapenems, all of them will follow and they will bind to that same protein. It is not just that penicillin will bind to that protein, all of them will ultimately result in inhibition of proteoglycan synthesis, because of which cell wall becomes weak, ultimately leading to lysis of the bacteria. That is the mechanism of action of beta lactam antibiotics. Okay, I hope you understood it. If you have doubts, please let me know. If you want me to repeat anything, then we'll move forward. Start off with penicillins. Or we can start off with penicillins tomorrow as well. We have penicillin, cephalosporids, all of those are quite big. ठीक है. ओके, एक बार चेक करो. अतुल, अंजलि, उर्मिला, शांति, पलडी, ममता, प्रतिमा, पी ममता, रीना, रुसिया, अनुषा, and Dinu. Okay, I think Dinu got disconnected.